Hello everyone, welcome back to Trek-A-Day. I just finished watching the latest episode of Strange New Worlds, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. And as always, here's my just immediate gut reaction to watching the episode. Oh boy, this one was a dud for me. I have two very positive things to say about the episode, but overall, this was a very negative experience. Which is sad to say. The first season was a big surprise for me. I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed it. There was really only one episode that I had some issues with. And then, if you've been following my channel, you know that I really enjoyed the last two episodes 1 and 2 of Season 2. Things were off to a great start, and there were only two hints of episodes that I was a little worried about, and this is the first one to come up, and sadly, I did not like it at all. This is, so far at this point, my least favorite episode of Strange New Worlds. By a pretty wide margin, too. So first, mention a couple of things that I actually did enjoy, and then we'll get into why I really just did not like this episode. One big thing that worked and was the big standout and the only thing that had me liking pieces of the episode was Christina Chong did a great job in this episode as it largely focused on La'an Noonien Singh in this time travel episode where she encounters a temporal agent who's been shot, and she is wrapped up in trying to prevent the Romulans from altering the timeline, and in that altered timeline she accidentally sucks an alternate timeline Captain Kirk back into the past to Toronto with her, and we get a lot of banter and budding romance between the two of them, and parts of it worked, parts of it didn't work. The parts that really worked were I liked the exploration of La'an coming to terms and really dealing with a lot of her issues with her lineage, especially considering the path she's taken with Una over the revelations of her true nature and how she looks up to her. And there's a great little exploration of that character and really felt for her more emotional moments, especially at the end. And I just thought that despite being an overall weak episode that I did not enjoy, that was the one very strong thing, was that Christina put through a great performance with a character who has very quickly become my favorite in the series. So really enjoyed that little portion, but that's just a part of the whole, and everything around it kind of fell flat. The other little highlight was something that was very obvious. They were going to run into Pelia, and thankfully that was great. Carol Kane did a great job. That little snippet really worked and helped to start to fill in the pieces of her background, as she's in little bits and pieces so far of the series. Hasn't really had a big full member of the cast kind of moment yet. I feel like there's going to be a moment where she's going to do some crazy engineering feat and save the ship. I feel like that moment's coming somewhere along the lines, but we're piecing together bits of her story here, and I like the way that little bit played out. Everything else for me, though, did not work. As a time travel story, it just felt very weak. It wasn't gripping, it didn't feel tense, it didn't feel like there was any real heavy messaging, didn't feel like there's anything truly that felt fascinating and original. It was a very standard, generic time travel to the past to save the future type episode. There's nothing that stood out about it to me in that regard. The Romulan agent who they encounter just did not work for me. It felt odd, felt miscast. That element didn't work, and the humor, a lot of that fell flat. And I also really do not like this portrayal of Kirk. I have a couple different angles of issue with it. First off, he comes across, as my father-in-law said, this Kirk is a doofus. I do not like the way he came across in this episode. Maybe if he was a totally different character, it would have worked. I don't know. I just personally am not liking this portrayal of Kirk. Just not working for me. And then the other issue I have is that I feel like he shouldn't be there at all. So even if this portrayal did work, even if I really did like this version of Captain Kirk and thought it was working well, I still would feel that he shouldn't be there. And I'm hoping this is about it for that character in this season. I hope he's not coming back. I feel like he's going to, though. Just because I feel like, especially how short these seasons are in these streaming shows, it's not 22 or 26 episodes a season, it's more 10, that I feel that limited amount of time, if you're telling the story of Captain Pike, should really focus on Captain Pike and the crew under him and not keep inserting Kirk. And I'm not sure why they keep feeling the need to do that, and I don't know if he's going to be in, again, more of this season. I just have a feeling that he will be. But that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way through this episode. I didn't enjoy that. And that's a huge part of the episode. So when the overall main narrative feels flat, and when one of really the two leads of the episode I found unenjoyable, it just wasn't a good episode. Again, La'an was the one big kind of shining example. I think her performance was strong through the whole episode, and I did like the moments of her internal struggle and dealing with that and confronting a young Khan and choosing the path to maintain her future by realizing that to maintain that timeline, Earth actually did have to go through this horrible, dark period to come out to a brighter future at the end. And there were still a few things about that again, narratively didn't quite work, but the overall idea that I got across worked for me within the confines of exploring La'an's character. So yeah, this is really disappointing to give an overall negative review of an episode. Because I not only to just try and stay positive, but I genuinely have been enjoying Strange New Worlds overall so far, and thought this season was off to a good start. So hopefully it's just a little bump on the road, and it's just kind of one mediocre episode. It just wasn't good. I think the little granules of positivity within it keep it from me quite calling it bad. It was just kind of forgettable. But we'll see where things pick up next week, and hopefully this was just, again, one little negative experience in an overall positive season. I still have high hopes the rest of the season will be pretty good. There's only one little thing from the little snippets of previews of what's coming for the season that I'm a little worried about. Again, that Lower Decks crossover could go one of two ways. Could be brilliant, or it could be over the top and just ridiculous and terrible. So that one, when we get to that one, I'm curious how that's going to turn out. But overall, I still, even though this was not a very good episode, have a very positive outlook for what the rest of the season could be, based on particularly the episode just before this one and that level of quality.